streets of Chicago, live and direct. It's the Rico No Suave Show, starring Rico No Suave, with co-host Valerie Malesio, featuring special guests every Saturday. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Rico No Suave. Ritmo.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's your boy Rico No Suave here on a 1 2 1 2, ready to go. Yeah, we got to clap. Let's make it happen, everybody. Yes, welcome to the show. Hey, your boy Rico No Suave here with each and every one of you guys, man. Thank you guys so much for your lovely support. Man, it is awesome, man. It is awesome. I'm so happy to actually be here. Once again, otra vez, ya tú sabes, mi gente. Man, estamos en junio. Wow, it is 11 de junio, mi gente, and we are there halfway through the end of the month. Ave Maria. I have to say that, the summertime is getting closer and closer. Ya tú sabes, we are getting closer and closer. But welcome. Of course, my other half cannot be here today, so she'll be out for the next 2 weeks. But, we will miss her, and I know you will too, my girl Valerie Malesio. So Valerie she'll probably be online, so make sure you say hello to her online as she chats with us today. All right, we're going to get right into it, everybody, because a lot of things is actually going on, but there's some positivity that's happening. So everyone, here is the breaking news for today. Let's get it on. All right, everyone. So we have Glenn Brooks, the community. This is something very special that I know a lot of people have not heard about. Well, hopefully you have not heard about it yet, but it's happening today. So, Glenn Brooks, as far as with the community officers and the police department superintendent Brown, they're actually doing something at St. Sabina Church today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. During this time right now, they're actually recovering and also saying, hey, if you have a gun and you want to actually bring it in, no matter what type of gun it is, it could be an air gun, a BB gun, it could be a real gun, they're giving away $100. So I'm going to read off a little bit of information in regards for you guys so you basically will be able to see that. So let's go to the next part. All right, so, Chicago, thousands of guns has been recovered by the Chicago Police Department, everyone, for this year, and hoping to keep that number growing with peaceful means. So at June 6th, this was a press conference, actually. The CPD Superintendent David Brown stated that officers recovered over 4,800 guns since January 1st, everyone. I got to say, I'm so happy to be able to hear about that, And that's a really big thing. That's a really big thing, as far as for me, to be able to hear this. And, 419 of those guns were assault weapons, which was one of 81% of assault. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but, the department of, is partnering up with St. Sabina Church, and they're doing some really, really, really great things as far as with that. So, I'm really, really happy to be able to, hear a lot about what's going on around Chicago. And we know that the one biggest things about gun violence is really killing America. Like, it's not just here in Chicago, but it's in New York, it's in Philadelphia. It's all around the world, and it's a big increase. And we've been seeing this big increase, of course, within America ever since kind of the pandemic. Now, of course, we know that violence has always been there, and we pray for the families, we pray for everyone that actually have lost a loved one. But to be able to see something like this, ya tú sabes, mi gente, it's very, very, very hopeful that more people will give away guns. You know, I really like that. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things that we actually need to be able to have turn in your guns, you get $100. It could be possible that someone could be at, in poverty and they really need the money. And this is a good way for them to be able to, hey, you find a gun, bring it in, $100. Just that easy. So let me know what you guys say in the comments as well, too. And I would love to hear what you guys think about this as well. So thank you guys so much for actually tuning in. All right, I got to introduce this beautiful young lady that's standing next to me, La Reina, en el del Sur. But this young lady, she is the Miss Illinois International 2022. She is the queen to be, right? She has actually came around, and that I have to say, I've always wanted to say that. I always want to say that, right? She is the queen. She is La Reina. She's also is a writer. She also is a professor of speech pathologist as well too. She was I always say just cum laude, right? But it's Madam cum laude, right? Madam cum laude. But I want you guys to stand up, even if you had a quinceañera and you had a corona, right? And I want you to put it on top of your head, right? Not the corona to drink, but the corona like the crown, right? Put it on your head, stand up, walk around, and give the little bit of queen hand, just like this, because you already know her name is Mariela Narvaez. Hey, welcome. How you doing?
Wow, what an introduction. I don't think I'm so excited about that. And I'm just so honored to be here. I connected with you.
Yes.
Some of your shows, and I just love what you're doing. So I'm just so happy to be here.
Yes, man. It's so happy. I'm so happy that you're actually here with me today and with us and the audience and the whole crew. We've been waiting a long time. And big shout out to my man Roberto from the Barlow, right? From the Barlow for actually connecting us together. So thank you, Roberto, and for actually connecting us together. So let's get right into this interview. We always want to know as far as how pageants and all of that great stuff happens. So tell us, how did you get into running for the 2022 pageant?
So it was so interesting. I have actually always done community service, and I just didn't feel like I ever needed a crown because I just do it because, I have a helping heart, and I grew up in Rotary International with my parents. They were district governors, so it was just a thing that every weekend we would be in the barrios in Mexico, building houses, schools, just doing community service in general. So finally, the director of the pageant system, she contacted me through Instagram, and she's like, Mariela, you'd be awesome at pageantry. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. It's a sport, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm interested. Thank you very much. But she's like, give me 10 minutes. Call me. And it was so awesome. I connected with her, and I just fell in love with her. She's just such a light. She's a very powerful woman. She's been through a lot, and she's just a guiding force for women who want to change the world, which I do, right, and to help others. And so I actually ran last year, 2021, and I made first runner-up, and I didn't think it was I'm like, this is my bucket list. That was awesome. I got some little awards, and it just taught me a lot about myself and connected with other amazing women.
Yes.
But then we had a family tragedy. My nephew, Alan, took his life through suicide. Speaking of gun violence, I agree with that completely because that was the means.
Yeah.
And it just broke our family apart, and it's a void that you really can never fill because it's hard enough to lose a family member via death,
Yes.
and just this way it's so it's just something like, what could we have done? You always have those questions. Now, the reason why I came back to pageantry, I wasn't even ready to come back when I was still mourning, but I had a suicide attempt myself. I was in a toxic marriage, toxic relationship, and nobody had, aside from my family, knew this story, and I knew that it was my time to come out into this light, to share my story and hopefully change this, which it happens left and right. Like in its different, society or culture. It doesn't matter where you live, where you're from. You're going to be, we're being affected, especially the young generation, which is even more tragic. Yeah. So this is why I came back, and I didn't even think I was going to win. Like I literally cried up there when I was telling my story because it was vulnerable. But in that moment, I connected with so many people and the judges, and you know what? I had fun, and it was just me about, trying to share my story and help. Like I said, try to save a life. Even if it's one life, all this was worth it.
Yeah. I like that. I think, when you hear about, someone running for, a pageant, you think about, the whole modeling piece. You think about, how do I get my hair done? How am I going to look, good in these shoes? How my dress is going to feel? But it's a little bit deeper with you when it comes to something like this. And you talk about the suicide prevention, which we will talk about that as well too. That's a big topic that we do talk about when it comes to mental health awareness, right? And I think that's really, really big that you're talking about that during the times of actually having this. And, rest in peace, descanse en paz, as far as for your family member. But with the pageant and meeting different types of people, when it comes to pageants, you look at it from a standpoint of how do I win against these other beautiful ladies?
Oh, yes.
What was your mind like going through that? Being beautiful as you are, right? But also being into like that form of, when you're standing with someone, do you feel intimidation? Did you feel like, how was your zone like when you were actually in the pageant?
On both processes, the first one, because it was my first one, I was a little nervous, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm very outspoken and I'm like, I can make friends in 2 seconds.
Yes.
And I knew the judging part and all that, I am like, I got this. However, they're all these amazing women, and I'm like, wow, what's going to make me different? But I just went out there and I'm like, I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've never fit in anywhere. And this is like part of my book series and all that. I'm like, I just feel like someone just dropped me off from another planet. Just, you're on Earth, and I'm Mariela, fend for yourself. But with that in mind, I was just like, I just thought, hopefully they'll see the difference in me. Because I really don't want to be like everybody else. And I was literally the shortest queen ever. Like, even with my 6-inch heels. Like, they're like, you're a queen? Like, you're in this? Like... But no, I was really just amazed to see all these other women, and I did get to see that world, which I had never really been introduced to. Half of the things I'm like, what is happening? Like it was really, I really had to like pay attention because it was so new. But and there is a little bit of, for the most part, it was all positive for me. But there is, you're competing, and you're the other one is you're against that person. But for me, and I'll say a quick anecdote.
Sure.
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but there's in a fitness outfit, the queen that won, she got the wrong outfit from the past year. So she goes out there and we're all wearing a blue one and she's wearing pink, and she's like, "How did this happen?" And she starts to cry, and nobody is looking at her. They're like, and I'm like, "Okay, honey, we're going to do 2 things. You're either going to rock this one when you go out there, or you're going to go out there because the Mrs. pageant was next. Go ask for one." But she wasn't, and then my daughter's like, "Mom, you don't help the other people." I'm like, Sienna, this is me.
Yes.
And I lost. And she's like, "Maybe that would have been the win." I'm like, "No, but I would have won in a way that I don't want to."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to be me. And if I had to help her in that moment and she won, it was her year. And I know I was in my year. I could actually accept it. Because when you lose, you're like, "Oh, it should have been me." And for a second, I did think that. But then when I went through over the process, she had an amazing platform, and that's what made us different. And so I was like, no, she really deserved that. Like she made a beautiful year out of it. Yeah. And this was my year, like 2022. So I feel like there's divine timing and everything, and sometimes we want it, in a specific time frame.
Sure.
And I tell people, don't worry, just keep trying. And maybe it's not for you that 1 year, but there's going to be a moment when you're going to know. And I knew it. I'm like, and then because my platform was different when it was more like just community service, things like that. But now it was something personal. It was something that was vulnerable, and it was something that I just had to open my heart and reopen some scars that, sometimes we don't want to look at.
I like that. I have to say, being humble, number one, is what made you who you are, right? Because no matter how beautiful that person looks or what that person can be going through, they're human just like you, right? And just like us. But they're going out of competition because, competition is based off of skills, experience, and what you look like, and sometimes who you may know, right? That's another thing. So sometimes it gets political. But what happens is that your time to shine was when you first helped her. When you helped that young lady in pink, she was like, "I'm the only one that's pretty in pink, and everybody else is in blue," right?
Exactly.
Right. And what happened was, it's like, oh my God, let me help her. And of course, being in a competition, It happens. It
Yeah.
happens even for runners, right? Runners. If
Yes.
someone catches a Charlie horse or someone catches a cramp and then the guy stops. I've seen it multiple times where guys will actually stop.
I know.
And then they'll come and help the guy and they'll run across the finish line together.
Yeah.
That's being
Oh.
humble. That's love, right? That's love.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, Raina. Right? So I like that. I like
My
that.
kids were like, Mom. I'm like, guys. And I'm like, this is a lesson for you guys too, because I'm like, we're not, it's really just about being compassionate. And,
Yes.
and like, if really that was me,
Yes.
like, I always feel like, treat others how you want to be treated and,
Yes.
And be the change you want to see in the world. So I'm like, if I want a different world, let's just start in this moment where nobody's looking,
Right.
when it's just her and me and in the backstage and nobody actually knew the story. It's like first time I'm sure.
Sure.
Except her, she knew, her and I. But like I said, I took that to and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. It doesn't matter because sometimes we want to win no matter how.
That's right.
So
And you will win because maybe it's not your time now.
Exactly.
But it will be later.
There's reasons, yeah.
So, speaking of time now, right? With one of the questions that we have in our repertoire is that when you watch a movie,
Yeah.
right? And when you're watching a movie, you're like, oh my God, she won, right? Oh, we wasn't expecting for her to win, but it's like during the movie, right? Like some type of actress or, a beautiful woman that goes for a pageant, but she works a side job and
Yeah.
you see that whole thing. And then finally when she wins at the end, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
she's glamorous, right? Princesa, right? So she's good, right? Did you feel like, I'm sure you saw movies like
Yeah.
that, right?
Oh, totally.
Did it feel like a movie?
It did.
It did?
It did. Like especially when like they kept saying my name because I won different categories and as I shared before, I got Miss Congeniality, and I was so excited about that one because I did help, and that's what I was when I was there. I helped the misses, the teen, some girl like her strap broke, and we were fixing it. I was like, you know what? I had fun and I connected, and I'm like, I don't care. Maybe I don't win, but I got to connect with all these amazing women,
Yes.
all ages, different.
Yes.
Like it was really beautiful, and so then. When I start like one name and then I won the People's Choice, which was awesome because you want to be the queen, the People's Queen, right?
Yes.
And then the fitness, and I'm like, oh my God, like they're saying my name a lot. I'm like, can you guys like give some to the other people? Like I'm just like, but then when finally, and I'm like, oh no, it's because, and then the queen that crowned me, which was the one that her name is Hortensia, beautiful girl. She's like, Mariela, I think you're gonna win. I'm like, girl, I don't know about that. Like she's like, just watch, and I did. It was like like one of those moments. You're just like, OMG, and and I cried. Of course, I'm very emotional.
Of course, yes.
And my kids, like, I think that was the most memorable to see my kids and my youngest son cry, like, and they're so proud of me because they've seen me, just do just about everything. And I tell them, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm in my 40s and I'm a Ms. I never thought, but I just keep him just to teach them that nothing will define you or determine like, oh, you can get a PhD at 50 if you want to, or, you change careers or just, do whatever you want. And I've always instilled that in my kids. And, an example is like my son, we moved here to Chicago because he made the Chicago Fire Academy team. So he followed his own dream. And I'm a big believer in dreams. I'm like, there's a reason why we have these passions and these loves. I'm like, I tell people follow him because it will take you to beautiful destinations. Sometimes the journey is hard, but it is worth it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, we had, thank you guys so much for actually tuning in. We had a little technical difficulties, but yes, she is turned on. Hopefully you guys can actually hear us. Give us a thumbs up. Give us some love all day, every day. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for actually tuning in. You are listening to La Reina, no del Sur, pero she is the Miss Illinois International 2022. I am so happy that you are here, man. I'm like super ecstatic. Like, I want to jump for joy right now. But, with that being said, in movies that they actually have like cat fights, pranks, and some type of behavior that just gets out of control. Did you see any of that in the pageant?
Luckily I did not.
Behind the scenes.
Okay, so there was, like I said, animosity, and there was moments where like I had a little personal family member went to the hospital that day. And I was like crying because I was like, oh gosh, like of all the days, for this to be happening, to where I cried my makeup off, But my pageant director was so beautiful. She came over and she's like, come, let's pray.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was so marveled because, we took the time. They took the time for me, and we all got together in that moment and prayed. And it was just powerful, you know. And there's two of the girls that were competing against me that didn't come to the prayer group. I'm like, you know what? Why? No, but it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna judge. I never judge, you know. But I'm like, it's okay if they didn't feel like it, you know. But you just felt like the laser beam eyes, you know. I'm like, oh gosh, like, you know, I thought we were friends,
like
but no,
X-Men,
they're like, no, we're competing against you, Mariela. You're going down. No, I'm joking. no. I mean, they're lovely ladies, you know. But again, it was just they just, you know, like, no. So it's okay. Like, it was just like little actions like that. Luckily I didn't see. I saw actually more beauty, you know, and people really taking care of each other, which was a rarity, I think, because in the movies we do see. And of course, I mean, like I said, you are competing, so maybe you have a feeling or either like a small action like this. That was all. But it was more just like, I'm not gonna go pray for you.
Yeah.
Why are you giving you more juju? You know, I don't know. But no, you know, I was really a beautiful experience. Like, I have to say, you know, I fell in love with the process, and like I said, like we came together because we knew, I mean, in that moment, we, as women's as souls, you know, for someone in need that was going through something, and that was me.
Yeah. I think that a lot of it touches you to the fact of you being that great human being that you are. And while you won, you know, of course, you won this. It was meant to be, right? It was meant to be, because people that do great things will happen. I believe, I'm a big firm believer in karma.
Yes.
Karma is your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it can be your enemy, right? So, and one of the things is that things that you have done, which actually helps other young ladies or people that's actually coming up, even if it is your first time. Yeah. People will probably think, oh man, she did this multiple times. No, this is my first time. But you really don't want to say that, because they be like, what? I've been doing this for I don't know how long. And all of a sudden this comes up. So, you know, you deserve it. You definitely deserve it. So one of the things about being humble about yourself is, you know, you learn your lessons from your past, right? Definitely. And understanding lessons that's actually learned. And I think that's why the crown for you means a lot, not just by the pageant and also the different categories that you won, but also for the people that you helped. Yes. So when you think about the corona itself, I think of it as more of a big meaning. Definitely. As to not just, you know, doing your runway, looking very beautiful. It's beautiful inside as well as out. So definitely. I'm happy. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm so happy for you. So I got to clap for you again. Yes, I have to clap for you again. So we got some people that's actually like tuning in right now. Oh, nice. I gotta say, you know, some big shout outs. Daisy's checking in. What's up, Daisy? Thank you so much for checking in. She says, have a great show. She said hello with the beautiful ladies, the double headers today. And then also Patty Escobar is checking in. Hello, Patty Escobar. We got my man Justin Sawyer checking in as well too. He says, hello, I am here. I am here for the ladies. Yes. You know, and, you know, we do have Violetta Lopez that checking in from Wisconsin, checking in. We got people from all over checking in. We got my man Jimmy Conga checking in as well, too. A good conguera. That's why I got the conga. Jimmy. Ooh, that's why I got the congas here as well, too. My man Jimmy Conga is checking in as well, too. And, of course, Valerie Malesio is checking in. Primo Cruz is checking in. And everybody else is checking in. Thank you guys so much for checking in with us today. So we have, you know, we have a lot of people that checking in is giving that good vibe. I
love that.
Right? I love that too, right? I really love that. So are you planning on running again for next year?
I've been asked. And so because my category is very unique, and I love that because, like I said, I have never fit in any mold. So this category is Ms. Illinois. So obviously, as I've shared, I've had kids, right? Sure. So I'm not a Ms. Right, They're like, Mariela, how are you pulling this off? No, I'm a Ms. So it's for single moms, divorced women, widowed women, or women who have another woman partner. And I just love this because there's so many women that didn't fit the criteria. What happened, like, of the Miss that wanted to have a child, or that got divorced like me, or, you know, lost their husband, or have a female partner. There was no platform, and that was unfair because there's these women, like, they fell through the cracks and they still wanted to change and want to make a difference. So in more states they're starting to open this category, so this is why I'm very proud of it, because it's representing those women that don't fit in the typical mold or framework.
So we're expecting for you to be in the next one.
Of course, right?
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sure there are other systems that I'm gonna have to do it, right?
All right, so we're gonna take we're gonna take a quick short break because we have a sponsor, and it's by Special Occasion Events. So Special Occasion Events, everyone, it's all about weddings. It's all about planning. It's all about making people happy, as you can see, from, the couple there. We also do quinceañeras. Special Occasion Events do quinceañeras. They also do choreographing as well. So if you have a quinceañera coming up with a corona, all right, make sure you do it. DJ service is always about making sure you guys have a great time dancing and having a good time. Party planning, 80s parties, whatever parties that you may have. It's all about that, and baby showers, everybody. So make sure you go ahead, and if you're planning a special event, leave it to the experts. It is Special Occasion Events, your one-stop shop for your entertainment needs. Wow. Yeah, baby. All right. Got the Suave. All right, so let me see what else I got here. For you. Let me see. Congratulations on that first phase, that milestone, right? We love to see it. Can we see the corona?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like, everybody, because I know you guys always wanted to see what the corona looks like.
This is it.
Oh, wait. Congratulations.
I'll
Look
just
at
get
that.
a little visual.
Yes. And keep it there. There you go. Oh, yes. So now we have crowned you again. Yes.
Thank you.
I love it. So it's beautiful. Look at that. So everybody, as you may know, we're not in the UK, we're in America, right? So this is the queen, right? This is the queen, everybody, here on the show. You've seen it first from us. All right. We talk about women abuse and suicide prevention.
Yes.
It's a very serious subject because, I've known families of women that have been abused. And also we know that there's organizations to be able to help.
Yes. As
far as that prevention. The good thing about you actually started that as well too with helping women that has been abused, and also you have your own milestone that's actually being created of the prevention piece. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I grew up, unfortunately, in a my toxic family. Sure. My parents are divorced, thank goodness. Sure. But there was a lot of emotional abuse, and then even with my sisters, there's some physical abuse. So I was exposed to it, and there's a lot of fears, especially for women wanting to come out, wanting to leave their situation, but also we're coming from a cultural background where religion is a big, you can't get divorced, you can't leave your situation.
That's correct. Yes.
So my mom stuck it out for a long time, even though I could see that she was miserable, and I would even tell my dad, I'm like, sorry, but I would have divorced you within 2 weeks. Because they were just bad for each other. And unfortunately, there's beautiful marriages, and, sometimes we're dealt with, you don't plan where you're born, and these are your parents, and these are your role models, know?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we've had to heal a lot of family patterns that were bad, toxic patterns. I call them, cultural family patterns that came from generation to generation, and as women come together and say, you know what, this is not okay, and we, of course, we have to go against culture, religion, society, there's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes women think, I don't have an option, where am I going to go? Do I have a job? And I mean, there are organizations, that help support women to get out of these situations, but sometimes they go back because they're again, maybe it's money, and they have kids with these people, the partner, or, so it just gets tricky. And I'm never one to judge. And I just want to always say to women who are going through different things, you're not alone. And in my help, I'm working with the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. This organization is about preventing because as women, we're going through different situations, we're going through darkness, and you're supposed to hold it all together. You're the mom, you're the, and you're depressed, you're going through something with your partner, or just life, your job or whatever, and sure. You can't say anything. If you say, oh, I'm going to go see a psychologist, or are you crazy? Why are we even, why? Let's make it normal to not be okay, to be going through things. Yeah. Even in my own family, which is unfortunately after my nephew died, we had to come out of the secrets mode. Everything was secrets. his mental health was secret. He had mental health problems. He had bipolar and he had different diagnoses. Nobody knew. I'm like, why are we hiding these very important things? Like, we could have been supporting each other.
Yes.
We could have been like, been more of a light than dark. And that's how he felt. He felt like he had to hide it because he didn't want people to know. I'm like, you know what? No, let's make it okay to, you know what? I'm going through something. Like, I was in probably my worst darkness, when I was in my past marriage, to the point where, like, I thought that was my only hope. Unfortunately, we were toxic together. I was broken down to the point where I didn't feel worthy of living. And I had 3 beautiful treasures, my children, that I was just, in that moment, and I tell people, you're not even thinking currently. You're really just thinking that is your only option, and it's not. And I'm blessed to be here that God said, no, Mariela, you have work down there,
Yes.
How many don't wake up, and they do wake up in heaven, and that was that, And I'm like, no, I don't want beautiful lives to be cut short because they're going through something, toxic relationship or ending, or mental health, because they're going through something, losing a job, or just because life gets sucky sometimes, and we can't control it. Things happen.
So I wanna take. I love the flow of how you're actually going with the abuse, the prevention, and also secrets. Sometimes I think when people, even like I can be, a culprit of that as well too, when something is bothering someone, or something is kind of like, if you have this disease or if you have this issue, sometimes we don't want to bother the other person.
So true.
And I think one thing is that it hurts to be able to see your mom or your family or your mom or your dad, number one, or your family members feel a certain way, and it's almost as if you don't want to hurt them. And I think, that's the tricky part, because the tricky part is when you're attached. As far as like to your mom, so I'm a mama's boy, right? So I love my mom, right? I love my dad too. Descanse en paz, pero I love them both. But one of the things is that the tricky part about trying to detach yourself from not letting your mom worry stresses her out. Her mental health awareness goes down.
Yeah.
Have you had a situation where you had to deal with that? And what type of ways did you help that to, from a parent, from a kid, or a parent standpoint? Have you?
So there was a perfect example. So my
Sure.
daughter, Sienna, she was 16. She just turned 16. We did her little quinceañera, sweet 16. So she had this beautiful event. But because of my nephew's passing, she started getting very depressed to where nothing. And I'm all about positive, but I'm also about truth and reality. And I'm like, I could see that no matter what I was doing and trying to talk to her, I couldn't help her anymore. And even though I have a ton of psychology degree, I was gonna be a psychologist because before I was a speech pathologist, but it wasn't something that I was prepared to do. And I knew that she needed something else because she started writing goodbye letters. Mm-hmm. She it's and you're like, oh, she's just in her room. They're but I'm like, no, like this is not her. And as parents, it's our jobs to pay attention to our kids and know that there's something going on.
Right.
So it was tough because we had to take her out of school and put her into an outpatient mental clinic, and I love that the school was very on board with her education, putting her on pause. Like she was out of school for 2 months and she was able to do like it was like going to school, but it was for her mental health. And I had to be, talk to my family about it and be vulnerable and just, this is where we're going and crying with them, because I'm a parent myself, and my child is going through this and I wish she wasn't and I wish it was me, but sometimes we can't and we can't live those experiences for the other people, but we just be there, be the light for them and supporting them.
Right.
So she was mad at first, but this time just made her, blossom, and she learned about herself, made her stronger, and she turned it around. And I was just amazed to see the beautiful butterfly that came out of this darkness, like, the capullo, and it was tough because every day, I didn't know how it was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to end up. But I just did the best I could, and it worked out for her. So I just tell people, it's tough to talk about these things. It's tough, to, like you said, I don't want to bother my mom, my dad, because they're old. You know what? Let's just be real.
Yep.
And now, now we have Zoom meetings and we're all like, oh, well, this week this happened. And I love it because before I used to be like, oh, everything's good. Like everything is positive. No, that's BS.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I don't curse, but you know,
Right.
and I'm like, you know what? So it's been more real just to connect in with all my family members, with all that we were going through.
Yeah.
So now we're actually like, let's just say what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it's been very refreshing, but very different energy because, but now we're like appreciating each other's vulnerabilities because that is really bonded us in a way that I have never imagined. And we're so much closer as a family with my own little kid, you know, my kids and my family as a whole. And I think that just being truthful and being realistic in our experiences, what we're going through, rather than just saying everything's fine and smile, you know, has really established stronger foundations.
So there's a thing that we do where we're going through car troubles, couldn't get my lights back on, or you know, I had food poisoning,
Oh, wow.
or
Yeah.
things like that. Humans,
Yeah.
right? What does humans go through, right? Not
Exactly.
aliens, but humans, right? There's things where, you know, we feel like we're going through certain things, and we tend to not let people know. I think one thing is that because I was a promoter, right? Promoter for like salsa dancing and clubs and things like that, and you know, during that time, you know, you might have car problems, but you don't want everybody to know that, right? Because you're like, man, I got to go and do this event. You hold it in, and you don't let people know what's really going on
Yeah.
because it's kind of like that pride.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's that pride. Like, I don't want people knowing that I'm broken down because they just have something to say that's negative. Right?
Exactly.
And then go from there. So it's kind of like, you know, what do we do as individual? And it's all mental, right?
Yes,
it's all
totally.
mental, and it's like, man, one thing goes after another, and how do I fix this? But then at the same time too, you have to be able to stay positive. The one thing that kind of, you know, hurts me, of course, because of the youth, is going through depression because if they don't have friends that they can actually hang out with,
Yeah.
if they're always, and there's nothing wrong with being around family, but sometimes having those outside good friends
Yeah.
help as well too, to be able to have that relationship with them. You know, it tends to put them in a bubble,
Yeah.
right? It puts them in. I had a couple friends that was actually like that, and they were like, video games, I'm not around anyone else. The video games are my friends, and I'm
Yeah.
online, and that's all that person did. But
Yeah.
at the same time too, the person was depressed. It's like, you need that help.
Oh, yeah.
You need that experience. And to be able to, for your daughter, and you know, it's sad that she was writing goodbye letters, and the goodbye letters are need to be turned around and say hello letters.
Exactly.
And you know, I pray for your daughter as well too, and I pray for you both that, you know, you guys, well, your kids as well too, that you continue to do great things.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like you touched on a good topic about this image, like
Yeah.
this Instagram or social media, like everything is perfect. And even in society, like we have to be perfection. And I'm like, no, we are not. We're
No,
human. And
that's
I feel
right.
like if we talk about more about our struggles, like I said, my life story could be on a Netflix series. One day the book will come out. I kid you not, guys. You guys will watch this and will not stop. Like things that have happened to our family, from like kidnapping, from drug cartels to
Wow.
family member being killed by things like that you're like, what? Like I told you earlier, like sexual assault. I've been sexually assaulted since I'm like 12.
Wow.
To where there was this older man who was technically a pedophile, went to jail. So I'm like, I've had to leave jobs because I've been sexually assaulted by bosses, by teachers, professors in universities, and it's like all this stuff that's happened, and I'm like, you know, that's been tough, but I'm like, no, this is not going to define me. I'm going to rise above it, and I'm going to talk about it because I want
Yes.
these sort of things to stop, especially women.
Yes.
Women, we have to go through a lot of things, and not only maybe because we have minorities, you know,
Sure.
the color of your skin, or
Yep.
you know, because you're not white, or because you don't have perfect English, or just different things, and because we have kids, you know, oh, how are they really going to do this job? Like,
Right.
what if, you know, I've taken my kids, you know, to work, like breastfeeding my kid, doing my master's, like there's all this stuff, but we got it done. And I feel like a lot of women, you know, have had, you know, we have these struggles, and we're going to do it because we love doing our jobs or do, whatever career we want to do. We want to make a difference, want to make a change. And so to me, it's all about just talking about this stuff that is happening. And, even in pageantry, in the industry of, entertainment and things like that, to where like, powerful men come and like, oh, I'm going to help you with this, but you have to do this. No, like, as women, we always fall prey, and unfortunately, it's happened to me more times than I ever want to admit. But it's something that I just want to like push for change. So like, women don't actually have to be assaulted all the time, every day.
Right.
To where because we're trying to do something, or because you're beautiful, or because you're smart, or because they see you inferior, and you're like, no, we're trying to do something here. We're trying to make a mark. We're trying to pave the way for more women to come in and do their thing and be who they are.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's you talk about the Netflix series. I think we need I need to make that happen. I know a few actors, I know actors, I know producers, I know people that can actually make that happen. And the reason why I say this is because you kind of touch on, and we joke around with Laura and Sur, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at what she went through,
oh, yeah.
right? She kind of went through the same. If you guys ever seen that show, that series, she kind of goes through that similar way of either going to jail or being harassed, or she's being, looked after, or she's actually being attacked and things like that. So we're going to take a real quick break because we got another sponsor that I want to let you guys know. You might like this one. You might like this one. All right, everybody, this is Hot on One Salsa, everybody. So Hot on One Salsa is all about giving out classes and making sure people come together. As you can see, yes, that's me. Yes, giving classes and making sure people have a great time doing so, and also teaching kids. I love teaching kids, everyone. So this is the future of being able to, at least get into some great moves and dancing and, like I say, todo, right? A little rumba, right? So make sure you guys check out my company, hotonesalsa.com. Thank you guys so much. All right.
I love that.
You like that one?
I love to dance. Yes,
right?
it's my thing.
All right. So, with the prevention thing, congratulations on that in regards to that. And I think the connection that you have with people, and also from your life, other people are going through it as well too. Not maybe the same exact timeline as what you're going through, but bits and pieces to be able to help people,
Definitely.
grow, get out of that situation. And a lot of women, yes, are in those abusive relationships. Either it's emotionally or if it's physically, right? And of course, we need people like yourself to actually help, and other organizations to be able to help women get out of those situations. Now, because there's an emotional piece of that, your mind is going all over the place, even for men, right?
Yes.
Even for men as well too. I mean, there's a lot of men from an emotional standpoint that goes through that. So from a women's standpoint, because there's that emotional and abuse and just don't know which way to go, we thank you for being there for the women, and also hopefully when your movie comes out, you'll be able to show people exactly how to take care of those things, or how you went through your life by coming as powerful as you are right now. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy. Yeah. So I think I got something else for you. So in the entertainment industry, well, you kind of talked a little bit about this as well too, in the entertainment industry, as far as what are some of the things that you faced. And I think you kind of talked about, discrimination. You talked a little bit about what happened to you as far as at a younger age, and, women as far as being, harassed, right? And also being, discriminated against is a bad thing. And how you overcame that is such a great thing. I like to reiterate that because it's such a powerful movement. And also karma.
Yes.
Karma, once again, actually puts someone else in jail of someone that actually did something bad to you. Mm-hmm. And that was a good thing. And that was one of the questions that we did have that you answered already. But now we talk about writing. Now, you're a writer.
Yes.
Right? So tell us about the writing piece.
So I started writing when I was very young, and I would make my parents and my family read these horrible stories.
Okay.
But I love mermaids and fairies and princesses, and I was all about the shiro, you know. I always just connected with powerful women, and of course, like a Joan of Arc mixed with like Belle, you know, Belle
Yes.
from Beauty and the Beast. Like that was me. I'm like, yes, like this is something that I was always so passionate about. So my first degree, a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing with a minor in Business, and then later on my Master's of Science. But the writing was just for me a way of expression, and so I've always been researching, reading books. Like I'm a nerd pretty much, or 100-year-old, you know, philosopher in the young lady's body. But you know, I just wanted to get my hands on as many books, and I love to research. And so my book, it's called the Starseed series, and it's rooted in quantum physics. Actually, it's very metaphysical. However, it is very quantum like, to where it's possible. Possibilities about obviously ancient aliens theories, about there being other civilizations out there. We're not alone, guys.
That's
you know,
right.
like
That's right. I do believe that though.
Yeah, and and I've connected with other amazing people like Foster Gamble, who is like from the Procter and Gamble, you know, family. You know, he's into energy and all this stuff, and we've connected. He actually edited my book, and he's helped me. He's an amazing man. Him and his wife just are about truth, and yet they have an amazing documentary called Thrive, and so it's actually free, so if you guys want to check that out. But anyway, going back to that, it's really just about I wanted to write this story, and I started with my daughter. I never thought, I mean, I've always written, and I know words for me is a form of transformation, and I knew that was part of my mission here, like, because words do help us, and I love reading, because I feel like when you read a book like The Alchemist, or just, you know, books like that, like, you end up different. They transform you in some way. You're just different as when you jumped in, and it's like, you know, so powerful. So I wanted to do that, and so I started to see my daughter who wasn't fitting in, and it was like me all over again. And I'm like, uh-oh. And she didn't know where she would fit in, and so I started writing this series. And she's my main character. Her name is Sienna. And my two boys are the supporting characters. Of course, there was a family fight about who was... I'm like, she's my only girl. She's got to be the main character, guys. I'm sorry. She's a divine feminine here. Like, but I'm like, trust me, you guys are the Trinity. Because that's, you know, that who they end up being in this book series. I'm like, all three were important pieces, you know, the components. But it was just about her breaking the mold and just embracing who she is. Because she was very unique. She is to this day. And I tell her I don't want you to change anything. Because the same way I had to conform to where I'm like, no, I'm not going to conform anymore. I'm going to be me. So it's really about everybody just being unapologetically you, whoever we are, what our loves are, our passions, and just be truthful and just break the mold. And we all have powers. And of course, in this book, they all have different magical powers. But we do have powers in you know, our day-to-day life. Like some people are amazing physicians, researchers, lawyers, doctors, you know, teachers, you know, and artists, oh my God, like musicians, you know, so we all have a calling. And the trouble is why we don't follow our soul's calling, and we want to conform or what our mom or dad wants us to be. No, like we came here for a purpose. Just embrace it and honor who we are and follow this path. And sometimes there is no path, and you're just gonna have to...
You have to find it.
Forge it and make it your own, exactly. In the rocks.
Right.
But yeah, like that's the way, and that's always been me. Like I'm like going through this hill, there's no rock, you know, let's go here. But it's really about that. So I wrote it for her, and then I did have a literary agent, and I had worked with her in other books that almost got published. But you know, I was still kind of like, it was more a Latin American culture. I was writing in Spanish, and this one was in English. So. And it's a young adult. So it's kind of like a Harry Potter meets Twilight meets, oh my gosh, you know, completely, I don't know, maybe Star Wars, you know, there's just so many different, you know, it's really a book on its own. But, and I just finished it into a screenplay to hopefully sell it, you know, because I would love to see this on screen. Because it is, like I said, very powerful. So the writing to me, like, was huge because it was leaving a legacy, and hopefully when people read it, they were like, you know what? I don't have to be like that guy or that girl. I'm just going to be me and figure myself out and just be powerful, because in discovering ourselves is when we can transmute that darkness and be the light and be who we're meant to be. You know, I always feel like just be you, you know?
Be you, baby. That's right. So I have to say that, you know, being able to become that writer ever since you were younger, right, at a young age, it starts off when you're young, but also it can start off when you're older too.
Oh yeah.
Right, and I really like it because your creative mind I kind of like the fact of being able to find yourself. And we
Yes.
talk a lot about this on the show as well, that being able to find yourself is right not at the time that you thought that you should be able to find your skills, because we had that power, right? We had a superpower, right? Which I was an X-Men. I wish I was an X-Men, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like that Wolverine type guy, right? But so I wish I could grow my hair like that to be like, right?
Good beard.
But so being able to have that strong superpower of a skill, creative, actor, lawyer, doctor, and you just meant to be. But of course, you know our parents. Our parents, they always want the best for us based off of what they think that you should be, because you were born through them, right? Yeah. You were brought to the earth and say, you know what? You should do this because I know everything about you. Exactly. But then actually, over time, that's not the case, because your attitude changes and life changes, technology changes, and you're like, well, mom or dad, you know, these things over here is kind of different now, and it's not the same like what it used to be. I can try it, but I don't know if I might feel that way.
Totally. And that was something like I instilled in my kids at a young age. I'm like, your parents, we don't know everything that you think we know. Yeah. Yes, we brought you here. I said, you will know your path. I said, listen to your heart, your soul. And they would look at me like, what the heck are you talking about, Mom? But my son at age 9 moved to Chicago for Chicago Fire. Like, he knew. And I could see this. Like, he was a soccer player. He would stay 2-3 practices. And I'm in the park 5 hours there just being a soccer mom, just watching my kid who loves soccer. And he was a straight A student. Yeah. And I knew this is what he just breathed, bled soccer, football, you know? Yeah. And I just saw it, and he was good. I'm like, oh. And, you know, and I told him one day, I'm like, Seth, and I always taught him about meditation, visualization, believing in, I'm like, and I would have him like sit down, I'm like, just visualize. And he's like sitting there with me. And but it worked, because at age 9, he called, they're like, they wanted him. And I'm like, what does that even mean? They're like, you guys need to move from Texas to Illinois. And we moved for my child, you know? But I as a parent, I couldn't, because people thought we were nuts. They're like, your family, who's there in Illinois? Like, do you have jobs? I'm like, well, fine. You know, it was a leap.
It's like starting over.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I believed so much in him, because he told me, he's like, Mom, didn't you tell me that my destiny is written in the stars? I'm like, yeah. You were paying attention to that? He's like, yeah. He's like, Mom, this is my path. Right. You taught me that if this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, right? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So he's like, Mom, I need you to trust me. This is a 9-year-old child, guys, and just to let me go. I had to, and I let him go, and he moved here first by himself for like 3-4 months. Wow. And I think that's real unconditional love, because as parents, we want our children with us. We want our children to do this, and that, but we have to trust them enough to find their way and let them fall when they need to fall, and just pick themselves up when they need to. And I'm always going to be there. I told them, you have to make the mistakes and you have to try things, but I want you to figure out on your own. I don't know what your life is. That's right. And what you want, what your heart is beating passionately for.
That destination is key. That destination is to where they're going and what road they're taking to be able to go, you know, in, you know, for life. It's nobody knows. You really don't know.
Only we know. I'm like, and I told them, listen to me, listen to dad, listen to grandma, tus tíos, tus primos. Yep. But you, at the end of the day, you're going to choose. That's right. Because only you know what's in your heart.
That's right.
Like, that's...
Oh, man. I'm loving this interview. You know that, right? I'm loving this interview. I mean, you're all decked out with the corona y todo, right? And I'm loving it because there's a lot that's involved in regards to how you are as a parent, but also how you are as an individual, right? A human being. And you can definitely tell that you have the passion for whatever, but also for your kids to let them be who they need to be, right? And just let them go free, but give them guidance, of course. Giving them guidance and giving them instructions in regards to where you're going. So, you know, we have guidance in regards to, you know, photos that you sent me that we're going to show everybody, right? So we have a lot of photos. So we want to show you guys what is going on with Mariela. So, beautiful, right? Beautiful, beautiful photo. And I'm assuming that this was for the pageant?
Yes. So I had already won, and this was for Dress Red for Women for the American Heart Association.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So, you know, glamorous. I mean, I just have to say, this is something where you will see on Univision or Telemundo, something like
Thank
this
you.
where you come up as a person that's an actress, right? Or, or a talk show, right? And you see this and you're like, man, that's the first thing you think about, even a novela, right? You think about a novela, but you see the beauty in it, right? You see exactly what you may find, right, down the line to be able to do, right?
Yes.
Let's keep going. All right. Yes. Loving the earrings. The earrings are the bomb.
Right.
I know you love the earrings.
It's all about it's in the hair, guys. I'm joking.
Let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
So, all right. Very beautiful.
And I do want to say, like, as because I am curvier than I'm Latina, right? And I just want to say, like, to love your shape, love whatever, because I lived in a time where Kate Moss was the beauty standard, and she is gorgeous, but I did not fit into those Calvin Klein jeans that she was.
That's okay.
But even going through my challenge, like, I started in ballet, and I got kicked out of ballet because my teacher's like, you have a butt, you don't have the body, and I cried, and I got kicked out. So I embraced Latin dancing because I'm like, okay, those girls got curves, so maybe I belong there. So it was really figuring myself out, and now I love that. We're changing the standards of beauty.
Yes.
I'm short. I'm not even 5'1" 3/4. Got big heels, but it's just about however we look and just feeling good in your own skin.
Yes.
And of course the whole aspect of I am a minority. I'm not going to have these blue eyes or blonde hair. But I love that we're embracing this exotic beauty, this in every beautiful color, shape, form, and it's just just like I said, just being your true beauty.
You.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. All right. So we got to throw up. I have something for you, though. I have something for you. But we're going to throw up your, I have a shirt for you.
Oh, thank you.
I have a shirt for you. But we're going to throw your social media. We want to bring up your social media. So you have a plethora of social media, but we try to throw up. You do have a website. We do have a website for you. It's MarielaNarvaez.com. So everybody, make sure you go to her website. Make sure you follow her there and everything that she's actually doing. Let's go to the next one in the list there. So we do have Facebook, Mariela NS333. So please make sure you go to Facebook, follow her, like, and love, like Valerie says, right? So make sure you guys go and check her out there. Okay, here's the next one. Next one is Starseed Book Series, right? So Starseed Book Series. So Starseed is one word, right?
Yeah, it's together. It's Starseed,
okay.
but it's okay. Like, we are the seeds of stars. We all are.
I like that. Yes. So check out her book series there on Facebook. Make sure you follow her there as well. Okay, here's the next one. Next one is Instagram. Yes, Mariela_Starseed.
So I was so sad, guys. I had my Instagram account, Mariela Starseed, got hacked in April. I had like 7,000 followers. It was Bitcoin people.
Wow.
So it has been so frustrating trying to recover it. Instagram does not help you, which is like $1 billion company. I'm like, you guys don't have customer service. And it's just the layers, it's been so frustrating. So I had to open a new one. Luckily, those people changed it to because every time I would try to recover my account, they would kick me out and then they would change the name. It's been changed like a million times. So now it's like Woman's Dream or some other thing. So luckily, my Mariela Starseed, was still Wavejo, which is my original, because I do post and, I always tag my channel readings or my poems, whatever, my writings with that. So I had to open a new one just 3 days ago because I'm like, I just miss expressing, and
Well, you did it in time.
Yeah.
Because now.
So follow me, guys, because I literally had to start over in a new beginning. So I don't know if I'm going to ever get it back, but, sometimes it's. New beginnings
we pray that you get it back.
Maybe there's a reason,
It's just another 7,000 we need to get to now.
Right.
All right, here's the next one. We got another one. So we have, I think we have another one there. Twitter, yes, Mariela Starseed. So all updates and things like that that's going on in your life when it comes to, goals and milestones and everything like that. Make sure you check her out on Twitter. Yes. This shirt right here, love, is all about. It goes well with the corona, right? Yeah. It goes well.
I'm going to take a picture with that.
Yes.
And post you.
So we definitely want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
This shirt means a lot in regards to your milestones, what you're doing for women of abuse and also for prevention. But also, you can wear the slash around it as well, the sash around. That's a slash. The sash around it, and just let us know how it looks, right?
Oh,
Take
definitely.
a photo, because you have won,
Yes.
right? You have won, and also by helping other women that actually, won the previous,
Yes.
right? Or just times in general. So I want to say welcome to the show. Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Give it up, everybody, Mariela.
I'm gonna put it on for my
yes,
soccer when
yes.
I'm actually volunteering at my son's soccer. I'm his soccer coach.
Okay.
Today I missed the game, but it's okay. Like, my son backed me up, so it's been awesome. So I'm gonna put that on and be like, representing.
Yeah, baby. Oh yeah. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show
Thank you
today.
so
I
much.
had a great time.
Oh my God, me too.
with
I love you guys. You guys are doing amazing things. Thank you for just keeping it real and
Yes.
putting more people out to share their stories
Yes.
and make a change, because that's what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, everybody, put your hands together for Mariela Narvaez. Eso. All right, everybody. So, what you have learned today so much. So, what you have learned today is a lot in regards to Mariela and her life. One of the greatest things about, learning some great things about someone that have been through a lot in their lives means a lot to us, because there's bits and pieces of things that you may have gone through. And with her being on a show is such a blessing to actually have her on a show. But sitting to me now, she's an attorney. She's beautiful. She talks to a lot of people. I know she does. And she's also she's a candidate for a Cook County judge. Her name is the beautiful Maria Barlow. Let's go. How are you, love?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am good. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Good
for
to
having
have
me.
you. So, when they told me that a candidate for Cook County judge coming on, I was like, okay, this might help me with my tickets. No. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you are here, but let's get right into it. So, why? Okay, no, let's talk about the attorney piece, because there's a milestone there. So, what type of attorney are you, and how did you become an attorney?
Excellent. I'm an excellent attorney.
You are an excellent attorney.
So I practice family law. So predominantly child support, child custody, divorces, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then I'm appointed by the court as a child representative or guardian ad litem.
Okay.
So that means I represent the minor children or act as the eyes and ears for the court when there's a family in conflict and they want somebody to solely tell the court what's in the child's best interest.
Okay.
So that would be my job when I'm doing that sort of work. Telling the court, hey, court, this is what's going on with this family. This is actually what's happening. This is what the parents are doing. This is what the child's feeling. This is what's in the child's best interest. So it's a lot of trust because the judge is relying on you to do what they can't physically do, which is get down on the bench and get down off of the bench and investigate. So
That's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard. Maybe you hit different categories though, right? Because when a divorce happens, I want to know how that feels like when you're in like representing that process when it comes to the divorce, but also of course, children, right? Of course, that's our future and how they're affected by that, because we talk about mental health awareness as well too when it comes to a child and the guardian and custody, right? How does that actually work in the system of who get custody and how that joint custody and all that great stuff work?
So we don't have the term custody in Illinois anymore.
Okay.
We still use it though because most people don't realize that, but for purposes of the law, we don't have that term anymore.
Yeah.
So for me, my first conversation with any family, so all of my clients, I do a consultation with them prior to them coming to be part of my office or prior to me taking them on to represent them. So the first conversation we have is about their family. If they have children, we talk about this family. All right, I understand this couple is dividing, right? But you still have this thing in common, which is your child or children.
Right.
So for me, it's always important for them to understand, regardless of how this relationship separates, you still have to take care of the kid. This is the common thing that you all love and you want to still be around.
Right.
And so I always tell them, listen, just because your relationship ended, your family is not ending. You're going to be a family in two separate houses. You still got graduations, proms, weddings, anniversaries, divorces, and marriages and grandkids.
Yeah.
And so I always try to get them to understand it's usually in the family's best interest if both of the parents can make a decision, because regardless of how much I know or how long I know this person, they'll still know their partner longer. And the judge is going to know them even less than anybody.
Correct.
So that's probably not the best person to make a decision regarding the family. So I always encourage them to try to reach a settlement that they can live with.
Yeah.
That way they get more want and less don't want. So that's always my first conversation with them.
Yeah.
And usually we have a real conversation about what time do you have available to actually parent. You know, when you're able to parent. Some people want to parent and they're like, well, I got work, but I'll drop the kid at my aunt's. No, you can't do that.
Right.
You have to parent or leave the child with the other parent.
Yeah.
And so I always try to get them into a thinking place of, okay, what's best for my kid? How's my kid going to be with me the most and with the other parent the most?
Yeah.
And then we start to use grandparents, aunts, uncles, and child care.
See, that's interesting because, you know, when I was growing up, you know, my sisters never wanted to take care of me, right? I hear that plenty of times, like my sister's like, oh, man, we got to take care of Rico again, right? And my mom, of course, had to go to work, and she always told me, hey, watch out for your brother. Oh, man, I was supposed to go out with my friends. How do you handle when it comes to young teenagers now are having kids,
They are.
right? And, you know, it's different from back in the days when my parents, where they had kids when they were 16, 17 years of age versus to the technology has changed us to now,
Yeah.
where 16 and 17 is not the old days anymore. The 16, 17s, it seems like a little bit, you know, does a little bit more harm in
Right.
regards to how a teenager has not grown up yet, or don't understand the traditional lifestyle of raising a kid. How does that work, or have you ran into a situation as an attorney with trying to figure out how this, I want to say it right, where the child is not capable enough of taking care of another child and tries to leave that child with their parents?
Yeah, that's
That makes
typically,
sense.
that's not always the case, but sometimes what you'll see is that it becomes a battle of the grandparents. So you'll have the father's parents or, you know, trying to battle the mother's parents. And sometimes it's not always a battle, though. Sometimes it's like, listen, these two boneheads got together and they can't raise themselves, so
Right.
we've got to figure out how to raise our grandkid.
Yeah.
So it's not always a battle. Sometimes they're going to court because they want to get everything in writing so that there's not a breakdown later. I've had situation where grandma of the child took over the child because dad's, I think, 16, 17, and mom is 16, 17, and she's wanting to go have fun with her friends.
Yeah.
And dad is like, hey, I kind of don't know what to do. So in that case, grandma petitioned the court and got the child. And then once dad turns 18, he's open to go back into court and ask the court to turn his child over to him. So those are fact-based. Those are like a case-by-case basis. But you
Yeah.
see all sorts where they're, but a lot of times it's a battle of the grandparents because
Yeah.
those are usually the older, more mature people, and older by being 35.
Yeah. I like, you know, and that's kind of the hard thing. The battle of the grandparents. That's I like that. That's kind of
Yeah.
sound like battle of the
what it
DJs. But I like the fact that it is true because, you know, when they're grandparents, they love to take care of the babies,
They
right?
do,
And I
they
think that's
do.
it's a blessing. It's a beautiful
is.
thing, but it's not good for the actual parents because what they will do is get used to sending them off somewhere else unless they don't have that responsibility of going to work, right? Being able to have a job, knowing that they have to provide for their kids, right?
But normally these are kids that are in school. They're finishing their junior and senior years. So some parents are better than others about making their children responsible for that child. And some parents are more like, hey, this is my new baby, so I'm going to totally take over. It just kind of depends on the family dynamic.
Yeah.
But normally you have these kids that are like physically still
In school.
having to be in school for a good portion of the day. So you got to thank God for those grandparents because now you know your kids are safe and
Yeah,
they're with
true.
somebody who loves them.
True.
But hopefully that grandparent is not just totally taking over too, you know.
That's a scary part. Like I would, you know, traditional back in the day versus to where it is now, where, you know, my grandmother where she would say, if you bring a child in this world, you're going to work hard for that child itself. And if you have more children, you already know what you need to do. You need to get married. And even though, during that time, of course, my parents were together. And when when my mom did have, her first child, it was like my grandma was strict. She was like, listen, I'm not taking care of no kids, right? I already took care of 6 of y'all, right? And it became that. But nowadays, it's different. And even though my mom, did those things, we looked at that like, man, scared to have kids, like at a young age. And then all of a sudden you realize that there's responsibilities that you actually have. Even like you're saying, they're in school right now. Right? What type of responsibility that you have is finish school, but you still got to provide for that child. That means school as well as a job. To make some money, make a meet.
I still think, so I'm the youngest of 11.
Oh, wow.
I am.
Oh, wow.
So there's 2 girls and then 8 boys in a row. And then it's me.
Okay.
And so when I had my son, I was in school.
Okay.
And so the good thing is my mom was the same way. My mom was like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. So it was very terrifying for me. But luckily, my mom, helped because I was able to go to school. I was able to finish law school. I was able to build my practice and things like that. Good. My mom has a daycare, but luckily despite her fussing, she still helps, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it was really a blessing, but it also is one of those things like, I better not try this twice. So I only have one child. That's it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, it did sneak, a little trick in there to say, you know what? That number 1 should be only number 1 right now until you're ready for number 2, right?
Yeah. No, I'm good. My son is older now. I'm definitely good. I've got 2 puppies. That's nice. Plenty. That is plenty. Yes.
Valerie is checking in. She said, grandparents, they still partying.
Yeah, my mom is like that. My mother is like that. Call her and she's like, oh, I'm out. I'm like, out where? Yes, my mother is definitely like that.
She's like that?
Absolutely. My mother is out all the time. She goes out and she's dancing and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, Mom, you need to come home and be a grandparent. All right?
That's awesome. So, during the times of, getting, so you have to pass a bar.
Yeah.
Right? You have to pass a bar. How long is the bar, like, in general?
So I think they changed it when I took it. I know that there's some changes. So you have to take what's called you had to take like an ethics test first, and that was like an all-day test.
Okay.
I think it was like 4 hours or 6 hours. I forgot, don't quote me.
Sure.
But the bar itself was 2 days. So you went from, I think, 8:30 to 5 on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday. In the summertime, in July, the last Tuesday in July.
Wow.
And then you went the last Wednesday in July from 8 to 5. So it was 2 days. It was all day. But you study from May through July.
Right.
So from mid-May through July, you literally study all day and all night. If you want to pass it,
yeah, of course,
then you study all day and all night.
Right.
And so it's daunting. But you have to commit to it. So for me, I really committed to the bar. Like I would study from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 at night because I wanted to pass it on the first time. Like I wanted to just commit to it this one time, and then that was it. Yeah. And so I was able to pass it on the first time.
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom giving it more because I gave it my all. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. And, I'm happy because you passed the bar, right? I'm happy that you passed the bar, right? And, of course, how's your kid? How old is your
He's good. He is good. He's actually a junior in high school. He'll be a senior, a rising senior as they call them now. So he'll be a rising senior. So I'm looking forward to that.
I know.
And funny enough, he's pre-law, but I don't think he's going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So for my family, I'm the first one to go to college in my family and first one to go to law school.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's going to do. He says he wants to do something with graphic designs, but he's taking all these law classes, so who knows?
So many different things you can do nowadays versus, to where you really focused on one thing and then, you start finding yourself, like I was saying, Mariela, you just find yourself and the next thing you know, you got another skill. Yeah. Right? So I'm sure that's possible as well, too. So being an attorney, divorces, I'm sure you saw some, I don't know if you can talk about it, but not the names, but I'm sure you've seen some crazy stuff or
every
maybe some
day.
interesting?
Every day, every single day.
Every day, huh?
Literally, every day is a different day. Whenever I interview someone, they're like, "Oh, what's a typical day like?" There's no typical day in a family law firm. All the days are crazy. You have this schedule, and then you have these 3 emergency motions, and now you push that schedule back, and you can't start that till 4.
Wow.
So yeah, every day is something different. You're never knowing what's going to happen. Yeah. I remember I had an emergency motion about, and this was some months ago, about a child whose edges had fallen out because her braids were too tight. But it was a child abuse hearing. So you never know what you're going to be presented with families. Yeah, you just never know what you're going to be presented with. So you got to be ready to move and, act when the family acts. You don't know if some parent is going to come take their kid out of school and now the other parent is looking for them, or it's just every day something.
Do you watch Divorce Court?
I haven't seen it recently.
I've always wanted to ask,
but it's different. Listen, so let me tell you about court shows. let me get on my soapbox. Court shows are ruin our lives. That is nothing like court. And then our clients are all like, "Well, on court TV, they did." Well, not court TV. Court TV is real.
That sounds kind of like real.
Yeah, that one's real. That one's real because I'm a guest on there sometimes.
Okay.
But those are real cases. But like these court shows and judge this and judge that is not real. We don't get this stuff done in 30 minutes, okay? That does not happen. And so I'm always like, look, that's not how this works. This is a formal process. This is how you do it. That's like the last half hour. They didn't give you the 2 years before that.
Right. So I just thought about, like, when someone comes and sit down at your table and you're ready to go through the whole interview, do you ever record them as well? Do you have to record them as well?
I don't record them. We usually have a very conversational. One of the things I do, I don't use legal terms with my clients.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And if I do, I might tell them like, "Hey, this is a petition for dissolution. You all call it a divorce, or this is a judgment. You all call it, or marital settlement agreement. You all call it a divorce decree."
Sure.
But I don't use legal terms because normally people's understanding of legal terms are not correct. So like the term custody, people don't really know the definition, or people are like, "Oh, well, this person was harassing me." I'm like, "Well, they found guilty of harassment, or are you just using the word harassment?"
Right.
"Oh, this person's a narcissist. Have they been diagnosed as a narcissist, or are you saying they're a narcissist? Do you have a background to diagnose them?" So then I get them away from all of these sexy terms, and we can have a conversation about your case and your life, and we can really break down what's happening. But we won't be using these terms that you don't know what they mean. I don't believe in that. We're going to use very basic terms to get you to where you're going.
See, I think that's why you're here, because you're educating all of us, because some things we don't know, like some of those things we just don't know.
Oh, right? I know. You know how many people come in? This is my favorite. "I want 50-50 time." They always come in and say that. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? "I want 50-50 time." What does that look like? 50-50. And I'm like, okay, cool. So can we get you 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.? That's 50-50 time. You would agree with me, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. All right, I'll get you that. But I won't see my kid. But you've gotten 50-50 time. Yeah. Now, which one is it? Right. Do you want 50-50 time, or you want something different? Right. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Get off of this, whatever you've been thinking about. Let's have a conversation. Because 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. is definitely 50-50 time.
Watching the judge on TV.
And so they're like, "Oh, well, wait, I got to think of something different. I hadn't thought of that. I don't like that time at all. My kid will be sleeping all the time, and then I got to take them to school." So I can disarm them. Yes. From this whole whatever their thing is. We first get rid of that, and then we talk about your family, right? And what works for your family, what works for your schedule, the other parent's schedule, and what works for your kid. What was your kid like? Yeah. Some parents are like, "Look, I want this, and I got to see my kid." And I'm like, "You live an hour and a half away, though. You want your kid to get up at 4 a.m. to be able to go to school from your house. Do you think that's good for your kid?" Right. So that's when we start to have a conversation about what makes sense and what's going to be best for your kid. Yeah. And then people can stop this whole, I want, and we can get somewhere with their case and try to get them settled. I always work towards settlement with my clients if we can. Yeah. Send their best interest, send everybody's best interest.
You the bomb. That's all I got to say. You opened up my eyes, man. You opened up my eyes big time. And transitioning into that, congratulations on being an attorney for child services as well as divorce court. Mm-hmm. It's divorces and all that stuff, and now they having divorce parties and stuff like that. I'm sure you've been invited to some of them if you want, right? So So, candidate for Cook County Judge. We got to get into it.
Yes.
What made you decide to run as a candidate for Cook County Judge?
So there's a seat that's open. There's different ways you can become a judge. So for me, I'm running in the 1st Judicial Subcircuit. Mm-hmm. So that's roughly from the Lake to Damon, mm-hmm. and from 75th to the end of the city line, plus Dalton, Burnham, Cal City, South Holland. So decided to run because we need more judges. We need more judges that bring diversity, bring differences to the bench. Yeah. This seat came open in the subcircuit that I've lived in my entire life. Yeah. So why not? The subcircuits were created to bring women to the bench, to bring minorities to the bench. Yes. And here's the thing. I tell people this. If you think about the bench and you think about when they're talking about diversity, diversity is many, many, many different things. And one of those things is age, right? If everybody there has practiced 40, 50, 60 years, you can imagine that they're older than the number of years that they've practiced, right? Sure. So I've practiced for over a decade, but I'm still young enough to be able to relate to a multitude of people versus going there at retirement age. A lot of people go to the bench and they're already at retirement age. I can give 20 years to the bench and still not be able to collect Social Security. But I've put the time in that I have practiced for over a decade. And I'm not talking about just being a lawyer. I've litigated. I litigate all the time. Yeah. And then teaching law. I'm teaching law to students at the university. So I'm prepared to go to the bench. I'm prepared to bring diversity. And I'm prepared to be able to relate to people that are young and old. So all spectrums. And very seldom do you see a younger African-American woman that is willing to take on this challenge and go to the bench. And that's me. That's who I am. Yeah. And I'm ready.
You the bomb. You the bomb. We already know. I mean, we already know you ready to get your gavel. Because I feel it. I feel that you're going to be that passionate, but also that person that be able to, because you're doing it right now, right? With being an attorney, you're actually working through that whole thing with different age groups and understanding how to speak to people, right? That one big thing about how you speak to people makes you a good person or a bad person, right? Yeah. Meaning that being passionate about it, humble about it, but also understanding the terms that certain people like 50-50, like you said, right? And that 50-50 aspects of things, like people don't know that. Like people don't understand it, but you do. And you can bring that down to that next level. But you see that there's change that's actually being needed as a judge. So what type of changes are you when you win, right? We're gonna call it like it is. We're gonna call it like it is. When you win, what are you ready to bring as far as to the world to see here in Chicago and around the world? I mean, social media is good too.
So big thing for me, because I practice in family law, I see oftentimes that some of our families are being, especially minority families, are being disenfranchised from the bench because there's no connection to the community. Right. See, where I'm running, I've lived there my whole life, so I have that connection. Yeah. Right. And then I have my approach to people is always meet them where they are. I don't try to make them come to where I am. Yes. See, remember, I'm the first one to go to college in my family, so I've got to learn how to communicate with my college colleagues, and then I've got to learn how to communicate with lawyers and judges, but I've got to be able to communicate with my family too, who don't know these legal terms. So that's why I was able, one of the things that bothered me as a practitioner is when people would call me and they would say, well, I have an attorney already, but I don't understand what's happening. And it's like, how do you not understand what's happening? So for me, that was the first thing that I always wanted to focus on, making sure my clients understood what was happening and what was going on. And they didn't have to ask anybody else questions. They can always come and ask me and get an answer. And they get an understanding of their own case. So that's something I want to do for the bench. You can't just lock people up and then they have no skills, they have no resources, and they're in jail for 4 or 5 years or however long. And you expect them to get out and do something different, but they've learned nothing. They've gotten no benefit to being in jail other than punished. So when they go back into society, what can they do differently if they've not learned any skills? They've not taken any classes. They are going to go back to what they know. Yes. And that's the thing that got them here in the first place. So we have to start to work towards what's going to make people productive. We can't throw away people because they committed a crime. These are our loved ones, right? So I have people in my family that have been accused and convicted of committing a crime. They're still my family. I still love them. I'm not throwing them away. Right. But they need a skill set so that they can be productive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll continue to go back into, right. And that's a problem. We have to start to look at people and not just, hey, throw the book, throw them away, give them a scarlet letter. We have to still, hey, listen, you've done this you've done this crime. You need to do your punishment. We're going to rehabilitate you so that you can be productive, because people out there still love you.
Yes.
No one threw you away.
Yes.
And society doesn't get to throw you away either.
That's right. I like that.
So
I like that, man. I think that, and you know, I won't call you judge right now, but the one thing that I love about what you're talking about is you become a judge, but there's programs that you're going to be involved in. Is that possible to do as a judge, to be able to be involved in certain programs to help? You know, there's a program called Second Chance for, you know, for either felons or people that actually went to jail, right? Can judges be a part of that?
So I can't answer that because I'm not currently a judge. There are rules regarding what you can and can't be involved in.
Sure.
But if part of your sentence is for them to complete their education, or for them to go to the Second Chance program, or for them to go take this carpentry class, that's part of your sentence. So you do this or you go to jail. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So as far as a program itself, I definitely couldn't answer what programs I can be in and out because I'm not in that position currently.
I see.
But when you bring this level of thinking to the bench, that's the first step towards change. Because even everybody's, these things are going on, these carjack. Of course, we all are living through this. We're all terrified. I live south. Of course, we're scared. But guess what? We've got to do something with these kids. They're 10 years old. Who knows that their life longevity, if they're going to live for 70 years, we're going to lock them up for 60 of them because they're 10.
Right.
We have to start to do something to turn this around.
Yes.
We have to turn it around. It's not going well for us right now.
What do you think about the parents that's involved in this? Like with the kids that's actually doing, like you talk about, you know, you as an attorney, of course, right? That talk about child care, the guardians and things like that. And, you know, kids that may do the carjacking, they may be in violence. Basically, they're young. I mean, they're still toddlers, right? Still carrying a gun while they're in the street and being influenced by the wrong people. How do you see the parents being involved in this? And if so, where are the parents, you know, in regards to this? Do we hold them accountable?
So that's in the neighborhood of something that I can't answer, but I'll say this.
Sorry,
it's okay. Everybody asks these questions. So judicial candidates can't really answer policy questions like that. But it's one of those things that it's a case by case basis. Perhaps in this case, that parent needs resources too. Right? Perhaps in this case, that 10-year-old is out because that parent is at work and that 10-year-old is at home and they need resources, be it childcare or something else. So you got to figure out what the issue is for this family. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Sure.
You have to figure out what works for this family. Maybe this kid is just rebelling. You know, you don't know. You have to get involved in that family to see. But if you're trying to paint everybody with the same brush, you're going to continue to have this problem.
You the bomb. You the bomb. You the bomb. I like it. I've been using the whole session today, man, because you ladies are throwing it down, man. I have to say that having an attorney and also you running, it goes hand in hand for you, though. Right? You know the whole timeline. You know exactly what needs to be done. You know exactly how people need that help.
Absolutely.
Right? And
I live here.
And
so
you live here, right?
But you gotta know what's going on.
Let's just say you move somewhere else. It follows you. It follows your passion of who you are, though. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you as a personal knowing about the laws. And I know the laws changes from state to state. I guess I'm about to go with that too. Yeah. But I know the policies and procedures and restrictions and all of that stuff changes from state to state. But you're being a human as you are and learn so much here in Chicago, right? In Illinois. You can definitely tell you're made to be a judge because of things that you know how to relate to people, right? You know exactly. There's I know we're running out of time, but there's a judge. I think his last name is Castro, but I want to say he's Castro or he's Italian, and he goes viral. Like he's viral. Like he's this like the most kind judge ever.
Is that traffic court judge?
Yeah, the traffic court judge.
Caught in Rhode Island.
Yeah. What's his?
Is that? I don't know his name, but I know it's called like Cotton, Rhode Island.
Something
the older
like
guy,
that.
right?
Older guy.
Yeah.
And like
exactly.
I see that passion that he has for people, but I see that in you having that passion for people, but helping them along the way.
Yeah.
Not just throwing away the key, locking them up, but I see that you want them to be able to, that curveball. Throw that curveball and say, you're going down this path, but you need to make that U-turn to come back to be able to be someone, right? To make
Absolutely.
America and yourself great, right? In general, a person to be great. So, you're awesome.
Yeah,
man.
you got family that depends on you. You have community that depends on you.
Yes.
I mean, at what point we're going to eventually run out of tax dollars, right? If we're paying for our people to be in jail versus making sure that they come out and pay taxes and become productive and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We have to work with them.
I'm here for you all day. I'm here for you, man. I mean, I am. The Rico No Suave show is definitely, we talk a lot. Justin Sawyer.
Yes.
Right. So big shout out to my man, Justin, right, for actually involving you into our show, because this is not the last time you're going to be on the show, because there's more questions I'm going to have. But so when is the election? So when is when everybody needs to vote?
Early voting starts on Monday. This is my dad's birthday, so I tell everybody to go vote.
Okay.
My punch number is 191.
191. Okay, punch number 191, everybody. Make sure you go and vote.
Yes.
My girl, Maria Barlow. And that starts, and when is the voting end?
So they got to share the word. So the 13th through the 27th is early voting.
Okay.
You can register at a lot of the voting sites. You had to have 2 pieces of ID. Election day itself is June 28th. That's the last day to vote.
June 28th. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's right here.
It's right here.
So I tell everybody, please go vote. I'm actually the only woman in my race. I'm the only black woman in my race. There's a lot of people running, but I'm the only woman and only black woman in that race.
Come on.
And I think I'm the only one that's grown up in that area my entire life. I have not heard my opponent say that. Like what their connection to the community is, but that's my connection. I've been there my entire life. I built my practice there. I went to school there. My family still lives there. Okay. And so it becomes important. Share the word. Don't rely on your friends to just know who to go and punch. Yeah. Make sure you tell them, this is the person that we need. This is the person that Cook County deserves. Go and vote for this person.
That's punch
191.
191, baby. 191. You know what that one means? There's only going to be one. And that's her, right? That's going to be her. So I have a shirt for you, because I know we got to get out of here, but you are awesome. The reason why I give this shirt out, because you have skills, you have experience, you know how to talk to people. You know that you're on the way to success because all of the things that you have done, and being able to the one to go to college out of your family of 11, and being able to take that milestone and accomplish that. And look at where you're at right now, right? You are not just starting from the bottom, now we're here, because when you get there, it's when you get elected, when everybody go ahead and punch that 191 for you. So we are here for you, and we thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Give it up, everybody. Yes. You got to show them. You got to show them your shirt. You got to show them your shirt. You got to show them. That's what it's all about, darling. Yes. She is part of the show, everybody. I want you guys to make sure you give her some love. Give her some love, and make sure you go out there and vote. Valerie says, Maria tells her clients, stop speaking like you know the words you're using.
Yeah, basically. She's right.
Right.
I'm like, that's not what that means.
Right. So we do have social media for you as well, too. We do have your social media. We're going to put that up as well. So we do have on Facebook, it's Maria Barlow Law. Yeah. And then you have another one. I think we have some more for you as well. We have Law Firm, right? So we have Maria Barlow Law Firm as well. So we have those two. And I think we do have, cool.
Yeah.
Maria Barlow for judge. You already know. Hey, that's where it's going down. So make sure you go. Hey, especially follow that one. Follow that one. That's going to be key. And then we have another one. I think we have another one for Instagram. Yes, Barlow for judge. The number 4, everybody. So make sure you go ahead and follow her there. Follow her there. Do it now, right? Do it now, because we have some successful people here, beautiful young ladies, and of course, minorities here. We're building, man. We're building, and going all the way up to the top. I want to thank you for being on this show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate
Thank you. Big
you.
shout out to my man, Justin Sawyer. Once again, everybody, put your hands together for the attorney, as well as she is a candidate for the Cook County judge here in Chicago. Maria Barlow. Thank you, love. Thank you. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. But, man, thank you guys so much. It's been an eventful day. We had such a great time being here on the Rico and Suave Show. I'm going to put up my social media so you guys know where you need to actually go as far as for us. So, www.ricoandsuaveshow.com is where you'll find all of our information, all of our great stuff, all of our photos and things like that. So, here's our next one. Next one is Rico and Suave Show. Yes, that is on Instagram. Make sure you go and follow us there. Make sure you follow us there. And our next one. Boom! Yes, Rico and Suave Show, baby. Don't forget to like, and love. That's what Valerie says, right? So make sure you go on Facebook and follow us there on Facebook. Then we have our YouTubers. Yes, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, we're building our YouTube channel, so make sure you go to Rico and Suave Show. Subscribe there. Tell all of your friends about it, because this video also will be there in the archives as well. And we got, last but not least, mixcloud.com/Rico and Suave Show. If you're a podcaster, this will go into audio format, so make sure you go there so you can actually listen to these beautiful young ladies. If you missed the show, make sure you go ahead and drive. Don't be looking at your phone and all that great stuff while you're driving, trying to look at how beautiful they are while you're driving. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Make sure you go to audio, everybody. Mixcloud.com/Rico and Suave Show. All right, everybody. We have none other than my man Mark Taylor coming up next week. We're going to actually have him on our Switcher chat, and he will be in the UK in regards to how a dog saved his life. Man, the dog is pretty big. You guys are going to want to see this. And this was in the UK. It was a beautiful thing in regards to, we talk about mental awareness and depression, but he will be talking about his journey in regards to how the dog saved his life. So next week, everybody, I'll see you guys here on the Rico and Suave Show as we end off the show just like